we had discovered that there is a Christian Economic Forum and a collaborative group of faith-based advisors called Faith-Driven Investors. And these guys have put together a Davos for Christian leaders. And we've got, Tim Keller, J.D. Greer, some of these big shot guys, David Platt. They're all promoting this Christian Economic Forum with speakers from the BlackRock Inc. and also from the World Economic Forum itself. So we're seeing the church being merged into this bigger agenda of the World Economic Forum, which is, as we know, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. So a big part of this is urbanization, the focus on urbanization. And so what we found out here when we were looking at this Christian Economic Forum was that they had this slide up and actually have a white paper developed for reimagining church real estate.
Churches get taken over that were big churches in their day, and you and I know some of these churches, by the way. They were big churches in their day. They got a lot of land, a lot of buildings. They could rehab those buildings, add onto the property and build these buildings, and now your church is a social service provider with the government. And guess what? This is exactly what I predicted in my book, Marxianity, that came out in November 2018, as you know. I warned about it.
We're living it.
We're living it.
And what I said to you today when we were talking about this story is that this is happening so fast now. It is really on warp speed. And, we could see this stuff developing 10 years ago. The Obama administration began to push this stuff. Even the church my wife and I were in, they had bought up old houses with $1,300,000 worth of loans from the government or grants from the government. And so they were buying up old houses and rehabbing them. They weren't doing this housing on site, but the church was still kind of the slumlord. And the problem is most people that get into this don't realize the kind of problems. One church, they said in California, working with this enterprise partnership, they're actually building their facilities to house the homeless. Well, I've worked with the homeless in some of the biggest cities in America. I can tell you a lot of people are on the streets because they want to be on the streets and because of mental illness, demon possession, drug and alcohol addiction. And, it's just a myriad of problems. So in this little utopian vision that the White House is personally supporting in a big way, it's part of their Build Back Better. But it's just the same old supposed war on poverty. And it's also a wealth redistribution mechanism to exploit the wealth of the churches to bring it into this affordable housing.
It's also a way to control the churches because now they're getting government money. They can't preach the gospel, teach the gospel, give out Bibles or tracts, or they don't get any more money. It's a way to purchase the silence of the church. And so you see these big mega churches that these young neo-Calvinists and Calvinists take over. They destroy these churches, these skinny jean wearing morons take over with their social justice and their all of their communitarianism. They take them over. They destroy these churches. They take the church from being 2,000 people or more with a Christian school. They dwindle the thing down next to nothing. They got this big land, all these buildings. Now's a way for them to go to the government and start making money. They don't care about the congregation. They could probably make more money working with the government and then pitching this as a gospel thing where they're double dipping, but they're not using it for the gospel because they can't, because if they do, they lose their money from the government.
Right. And of course, they love the fact that, that they see this as sort of free land, and most of these younger pastors, they didn't build these churches. It was the tithes and offerings and sacrificial giving of generations of people that bought these properties and built these churches and have done them for the sake of the gospel and for the glory of God. And that doesn't mean that it should be at the discretion of these pastors to use them potentially for personal gain. When you get a bunch of people in a room and you start pumping money into it, you know what happens. Corruption.